Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Myanmar goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. And yes, it's me. I'm back. I'm back in the hosting chair, and I'm joined by my partners in crime, my co-conspirators, my co-hosts, the lovely Lottie and magnificent Matt. Matt, how's the week been for you?
It's been mainly chucking it down, so it's not been great, but it's been an interesting week, that's for sure.
Yeah, the summer is definitely over and the storm clouds are coming over for sure. I was having to drive back from Derby today, nothing but water all the way down the M1. It's been horrific. So hoping for better weather this weekend. Lottie, has it been a bit sunnier down in North London?
I actually saw this. I actually forgot how the sun looked like, but it was out this afternoon, so that was quite nice. But other than that, it's been grim. It's been grey, and it's that like horrible rain you get soaked in at some point when it does come down.
And joining us for this Bristol preview, we have our very own Bristol City fan supporter, to say. That is Shahan Miah. Please tell me it's been a bit sunnier down in the West Country.
Yes, of course. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Sorry, I missed the start of that question. Sorry, I thought my headphones were working.
How's the weather been in the West Country?
Yeah, it's been raining quite a lot. Today it was actually fine, to be honest. Well, in the afternoon anyway. But hopefully the rain won't affect the game this Sunday, because I seen that the club did post travel information for those that were planning to get the trains to and from the game this Sunday.
I should say there was a note. There was some flooding on the railway line, so that our supporters club has been a bit of a mini panic about potential travel for that game. Hopefully the sun does come out and the water does just drain away, because we've got a lot of fans hoping to come down to the lovely city of Bristol to take in the game, which we're going to discuss. You may have eagle-eyed viewers and eagle-eared listeners may have noticed that I wasn't in on the Tuesday app. I was sadly studying for my assessment today, which thank goodness is now out the way. It was a very stressful experience, but not as stressful as last weekend when myself, Matt and Lottie were in the Emirates Stadium and suffered watching Arsenal eventually beat Aston Villa 2 goals in injury time. Matt and Lottie very well covered the game in my absence, but I wanted to ask all the panelists here, obviously it's a very stressful experience, but that aside, what has been your most stressful match day experience in terms of being game with the result or the game, or however? Matt, I'm going to come to you first. What's your most stressful match day experience?
It was actually the Liverpool game, because I couldn't get into Euston. So for those that don't know, you might want to go back to the other podcast. Essentially, I missed the first train, and then by the time I got down to Euston, there was signalling failures, so I was camped in Wolverhampton, waiting to get down to London. I was on that train for an extra 73 minutes, so I basically missed Villa's opening goal. And that's the most stress I've ever had at a game. There have been other games that I've nearly missed. I think further down earlier, none of them WSL games, luckily. Yeah. But it's just one of the things I hate is not being on time for games and missing the warm-ups and the kick-off it's just one of my hates, and it was not a good day.
Lottie, what about you? What's your most stressful moment? You've obviously been to many more games than us down the years, men and women. So what's been your most stressful?
It's got to be missing my flights to Munich.
Oh,
and then my flights being cancelled on the way back on the same trip. I was so annoyed.
Which Munich was this? Because there's been a few Munich trips down the years. Was it a good Munich or a bad Munich?
It was a bad one. I still went out there every year, but it was a bad one. We got
5-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Less about that, the
not
better.
the women.
No,
The men. Let's just make
no,
that clear.
we only lost 1-0. But it says a lot that the match day experience was not as bad as the travel experience, which shows how bad the travel experience was in the
Exactly.
balance.
The travel is a nightmare, especially when you've got problems with your flights on both ends, going there and back. It was just
Absolutely.
chaos. But since that trip, I've never had a problem, so I'm quite happy. Touch wood.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope the good run keeps going. Shahan Miah, I'll come to you. Bristol City fan, what has been your most stressful Bristol City moment?
Oh, I mean, you put me on the spot. I mean, I've been a fan of like the men's team for 15 years, and I think the women's team coming up to 5. But I think one stressful moment actually happened to me last Sunday at the game at Man City, or just before the game at Man City. So it wasn't on the FA Player, but I mean, it wasn't on TV, but it was a 1 p.m. kickoff. So me and my friends had to leave Bristol at 8 a.m. anyway, and I drove up one of the cars. We got to the stadium in good time, but I don't know if any of you have been to the Joy Stadium, as it's called now. So
It's the Academy Stadium for all the rest of us.
But yeah, we got there in good time. But yeah, we parked in the car park about like an hour, like a 10-minute walk away. And so I was carrying some flags that we take to home and away games, and also a drum which belonged to 2 supporters of mine who couldn't make the game. So we did the 10-minute walk, got inside the stadium, we're putting up the flags, and then the steward came over and then said he just had to get a message from his control room to make sure that the flags were okay to put up. I mean, they were all just Bristol City flags, and there was nothing like political or offensive about them. And then he eventually got the message, and it was fine. And then he noticed the drum.
Yeah.
And then he had to call back his control room, and because he said apparently drums should have been a request for a drum should have been made to the club beforehand, which myself and none of the other supporters knew about. And then he got the message that the drum was not allowed, and I was told there was nowhere for the drum to be kept inside the stadium, so I had to take it back to my car. Right. At this point, it was about 20 minutes before kickoff, so I walked carrying this massive drum 10 minutes back to the blue car park by the Etihad Stadium, put the drum back in my car, and then had the rest for a bit, and then walked back to the stadium. Luckily, I was able to skip the queues because I think the people recognized me. But yeah, I missed kickoff, and thankfully, unthankfully, I didn't miss any goals. I mean, we conceded 5 goals in the first half, but
didn't miss any of them.
yeah. Unfortunately, all the goals were in front of the away end, the away end, because I don't think my club requested an allocation, so Man City ended up sending the tickets, so there were some home fans where the away fans were meant to be. Yeah.
See, this is fascinating because I'd heard about this drum story on a WSL column. I'd heard that there'd been some people who had to were allowed to play a drum in the stadium and had to take it out, which for me is madness because you want better atmospheres, and a drum would do that. So I'm not sure what's happened. There's obviously been a breakdown of communication somewhere, but I didn't realize it was your good self. So thanks for that. That's a fascinating insight. My most stressful matchday experience was at the Arsenal-Chelsea game a few seasons ago when we were 3-2 up, and I'm looking at the clock and it's 20 minutes, and I'm just having to basically hold my breath for 20 minutes and hoping. We did hold on, but that's definitely the most stressed I've been at a match experience. But no, Shahan Miah, you definitely win that particular round. On to the pod itself. There's been quite a bit of football midweek action. Arsenal sadly weren't involved, thanks to Paris, but Paris played on. They were in the playoffs, and of course there was a big team that went out in the Champions League and made a lot of news. Wolfsburg have fallen. Paris FC have beaten Wolfsburg 5-3 on aggregate. That must be a bit of a shock, well, double shock really. Both Champions League semi-finalists from last season gone thanks to Paris.
Well, it's more than that, isn't it? There's been a lot of ups and downs, and that's one of the great, beautiful things about the Champions League. I know you'll probably ask this about Man United as well.
That's next. Next.
So I'll divide away from that, but essentially, it does make you question everything going on, because some of these are huge history makers in their own sense. Wolfsburg have won the Champions League before. Arsenal won the Champions League before. Juventus consistently there, but over the last couple of years, they've sort of dwindled a little bit because of the rise of Roma. But the good news is these are the teams that are getting a spotlight now. So it means that maybe come next summer, we might see some of these other Paris FC players go on to play for the Bayern Munichs and Wolfsburgs of the other European leagues, and I'm looking forward to that. And it also means that you can watch the games without much fuss instead of just being like, oh, Arsenal playing, oh, who they're playing, oh, it's Barcelona again.
Yeah. Well, we should say massive congratulations to Paris FC, obviously toppling Arsenal in the pre-qualifiers, toppling Wolfsburg in the playoffs, and they have, of course, been rewarded with a nice, easy group with Chelsea. So which bodes well if they're that good at taking out semi-finalists. Chelsea better be careful there. Another Parisian team, PSG, were on the warpath, and they took out our other English prospect, Manchester United. They have fallen. Two Champions League games in their proud history, and they've won neither of them. So they are out of the competition. I'm going to come to you with this one, Lottie. You might have seen some of these comments. I'll read it out for everybody else. Mark Skinner, I would say, was not the most proudest of winners or losers, shall I say. Didn't take it gracefully. His comments post-match: "We deserve to be at this level. I've no doubt about that." Which is interesting because they've never won a Champions League game and it's their first campaign, but we'll move on. There are teams going through to this competition, to the group stage, that are not good enough. Our standard is better than that standard. And it's crazy that we had to play PSG at this qualifying round, crazy, and it needs to be something that's addressed. Now, obviously, been a lot of talk recently about the Champions League and its format with qualification. As Matt said, the likes of Juventus have not made it. We haven't made it. Manchester United have made it, although there's debate about where they stand in the grand scheme of Europe. What was your take on Mark's perspective, shall we say?
Well, I'm not his biggest fan because we all know he can't rotate. Just can't do it. I mean, prime example is Ella Toon. She played every single minute of every single game last season.
Yeah.
But she's got someone to challenge her in that spot now, thankfully, in Miyazawa. Honestly, his comments for me are a bit irrelevant. It's the first time they've been in it. It's the first time he's ever come up against any of these teams. He hasn't gone far enough to cast that judgment. As we know, last season we saw the likes of Roma. They went through. They scored against Barcelona for the first time. I mean, that in itself isn't an easy feat. We know this as Arsenal fans. We know this. And at this point in that competition, it's anyone's game. It's not just for the big clubs, so to speak.
No.
Like who is, for someone who's only had 2 games in the Champions League in his life, who is he to cast judgment on teams who regularly win the Champions League? But because if you look at Man United's level of football, and then you look at Barcelona, that's 2 different levels to me. They haven't won multiple WSL titles.
No.
Haven't won multiple cups. They haven't. So I don't know why he's casting this judgment. It's wrong.
For me, there's this element of Manchester United that I've spoken to it before, that because their men's team have great history,
it's self-entitlement.
Yeah, they believe that their women's team have that history, and they don't.
Yeah.
All they have is a championship title. Yeah, well done for that. But they are not like not the same as Manchester United men, but they see themselves as that. Skinner made some comments, I remember, after the Arsenal game, saying, "Oh, we have to attack because we're Manchester United." It's the idea that we have to be in Champions League because we're Manchester United. We should be in this competition. And I'm thinking you have as much pedigree in this competition as, I know, Brighton. You've done nothing. You've had 2 games, you've lost them both.
Same with Manchester City. Like, they're the hottest team at the moment that are winning everything in the men's, but you don't get that from their women's fans. So I'm not sure where this attitude is coming from.
I think it's an embodiment of the club, the fan base, and the manager. This I don't want to say delusion, maybe it's a too strong a word, but just this notion that they are better, and I'm not saying they are a decent side. I mean, they're not rubbish, and they gave PSG a very, very good game, and they were a bit unlucky. Galton did not foul the keeper. I think we can all agree on that. If I've seen the highlights, and they gave a good account of themselves. But this idea that they're suddenly this great European team that's better than, say, Paris FC coming through, or some of the other lower seed teams that are going to be in the group stage, I think is
to be honest,
laughable.
I don't think they're better than Chelsea. They're not.
They've never beaten Chelsea.
Beat Chelsea.
Well,
do you know what I mean? It's you want to take on all these big clubs, but you can't beat one of the bigger clubs that's in the league right now.
No. And if you go back through the history, you'll notice that plenty of other teams have had more more European experience than Manchester United by that.
I have a bone to pick
pleasure.
with you about that.
Oh,
You
so
missed one of those teams out.
Here we go.
was it Everton?
It was.
Oh, right.
They,
Okay.
Everton have actually played over 20 games in the Champions League.
Fair enough.
Most
Oh,
that
I
they've
didn't
ever
know.
done is the quarterfinals, but they have actually won games compared to Manchester
Well,
United.
I blame Twitter's character limit. There are only so many great teams I can list in that tweet. But some of the other teams obviously were Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and of course Bristol Academy, as they were known then, have also been in Europe and have got as far as the quarterfinals. I don't know if you were a fan at the time, Shahan, but they actually beat Barcelona along the way 2-1 in aggregate. With a late penalty at it wasn't Ashton Gate, was it, at the stadium, but it was at their home ground to get a 2 aggregate win. So even Bristol City have a greater European pedigree than Manchester United, and that's something to be proud of. Also, Russo has scored the same amount of Champions League goals as Manchester United, which is a nice little factoid for those who seem to compare our strikers, like Mallard and Russo, but. We are not here to talk about Manchester United. We are here to talk about Arsenal and Bristol, and we have Shahan yourself to talk about the mighty Bristol City. So, first of all, obvious question, but we'll get in. How on earth did you become a Bristol City fan, and how long have you been following both teams, shall we say?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Adam. And yeah, so I grew up in Long Ashton, a village just outside South Bristol, which is about a mile away from Ashton Gate. Although growing up, I actually really wasn't into domestic football. I was more, I had Sky Sports, but I was more into like WWE or WWF at the time. I mean, which I
Wrestling.
got out of, and then wrestling, and then I got back into it a few years ago. But yeah, I didn't get into football or properly until I was a uni, and I stayed in Bristol for uni, and that was the season I started to support my local team. So I thought I started going to some Bristol City men games back in 2007, 2008, which coincidentally happened to be our season that the team
The
were
playoff.
one game. The playoff.
The whole
the
city.
playoff.
Yeah, so I was living in the West Country then, and I was seeing Bristol City get, and I was thinking, we get Bristol City in the Premier League. We get Arsenal versus Bristol City at the Emirates Stadium, or they could come to like Ashton Gate, which was the equivalent of my local team, and it wasn't to be, was it? Was it Dean Windass? Was it in the final for Hull City? And
that
broke my heart.
That massive wonder shot that he scored, sent Hull to the Premier League for the first time in their history. And since then, the team have been relegated to League One and then back in the Championship now. But it was through the men's team that I got into City Women. So although my first game actually was in 2011, back when the team were Bristol Academy. Me and my flatmate at the time, we were living near Ashton Gate at the time, and we heard that there was a game, a women's Champions League game at Ashton Gate. It was the first time that our team had been in the Champions League. It was a group game against Energia Vereshnia, a team from Russia. But yeah, it was a 1-1 match, and I think Jess Fishlock scored the goal for Bristol. But at the time, I didn't know who she was, or I didn't know who any of the players were.
No.
Yeah, there was a lot of famous legends in that game for Bristol, or at least in the women's game, like Jess Fishlock, Colin Yorston, Anne-Marie Heverton. But yeah, me and my friend we had a good night for what it was. But yeah, I didn't go to another women's football game until the Lionesses played at Ashton Gate in a Euro 2017 qualifier against Bosnia Herzegovina. I think George Scott scored the only goal. But again, at the time, I didn't really know who the players were. No. But I got more into Bristol City when I heard that the Bristol Academy had been rebranded by Bristol Sport, because Steve Lansdowne, the owner of the men's team, took over, essentially bought the women's team, and rebranded Bristol Academy to Bristol City. So I saw some games in the 2017 Spring Series when they were playing at Stoke Gifford Stadium, which I was living there at the time, and I thought, we didn't win any home games, but I thought, I'll come support the women. It's more closer to me than Ashton Gate was at the time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, for whatever reason, I couldn't make that commitment, and then I decided to go on the last day of the last home game of the 2018-19 season. I think when we lost to West Ham. But then I thought, okay, I'll give it a full go next season. And then the next season happened to be the season that got disrupted by COVID.
Yeah.
And then, and then I became a season ticket holder, when fans were allowed back at games. Of course, at this point, we've been relegated to the Championship.
Yeah.
A lovely 2 seasons in the Championship. I played at the Robins High Performance Centre, which is the club's training ground where both the men's, women's, and the academy teams train. Since WSL promotion, the team now play all the league home games at Ashton Gate.
Yes. That's amazing. That is, they've gone full time. It reminded me like Reading did, but then obviously when they were, was it Select Car Leasing Stadium? But what was obviously the Medeski Stadium? But Bristol's done something similar. Bristol did something similar. They've actually Ashton Gate for, is it every game, not just WSL games? Is it every game?
I think it's just WSL games because we had a Conti Cup game against Southampton last week, but that was back at the Robins High Performance Centre.
Right.
But a part of me does regret missing out on some of the glory years of Bristol Academy because we were 1 game away from winning the WSL title away at Liverpool on the last day of summer season 10 years ago. Yeah. I think we were FA Cup finalists twice. Yeah. And again, you mentioned about the Champions League game, beating Barcelona at Ashton Gate. And Mary Ups was in that squad. So she has won the Champions League game. Well, at least more than 1 Champions League game.
She's won more Champions League games at Bristol than at Manchester United, which says, or Bristol Academies rather, which says a lot. No, Bristol Academy, Bristol City, however you choose to phrase it, has been a hotbed of talent. Like Caroline Weir, I believe, has played there. Lauren Hemp, big fans of Lauren Hemp. She wants Bristol team. Scored a wonder goal against Arsenal at Meadow Park, which pretty much terminated. The name forgets me, the Arsenal manager at the time, and then obviously Joe Montemor came after him. The name will come back to me later, I'm sure. But no, Bristol City, I think it was 2013. I think it was when Arsenal had a technicality and they dropped a point, and it meant that Bristol pipped us and Liverpool won the league. It was big time. I think they even had Mark Sampson in charge at one point, and Arsenal beat them in an FA Cup final 3-0. That was. So it's been some big games down the years, and it's good to have Bristol back in the league. Sadly, not doing too great at the moment. Nil point, as they say in Eurovision. 3 games. So opened against Leicester, started great, 1-0 up, and then a screamer, I think we can probably say, from Jones, levelled it just before half time, and then the wheels kind of fell off after that. Lost 4-2, went to Spurs. I think you were at that game, the Spurs game, I believe. You were at the was it the 3-1, was it?
Yes. I was at that game, and one of the goals, I mean, looking back, I think from a neutral point of view, it is really funny because Kayla Marquise, who's on loan from Arsenal.
We're going to come to her. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we'll come. I was at the game, but it was great to be at Brisbane Road, and I met some Arsenal players at that game. Again, I don't know if you're going to go into that later on.
Yeah. Well, go for it. Well, who was it you met at the game?
At that game, I assume they were there to support Caelan. Sat near us away fans, there was Beth Mead, Vivian Miedemar, and Laura Rienreuter.
The ACL club.
Well, most of them. I mean, Leah Williamson wasn't there. But and then me and my friends, we saw them come out and we're like, is that really who I think it is? But and we thought, people were gonna house on them or go up to them for photos. But literally during the first half, no one talked to them at all. And then I think when it was half time, and I think myself and one of my other friends, went up to get photos. I think I said to them a chant which I was going to try to start doing at the game, but I don't think it quite worked because we were losing at that point. It was it was something along the lines of, North London is red, just like Bristol. North London is red.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I
thought it would be a best chance to get a photo like that with them when they're not playing, because if it was after a game, it'd be scenes, it'd be chaos. I thought, and I thought I'd rather do that when they're not playing as opposed to this Sunday, for example.
Yes, with Arsenal players behind enemy lines, it would appear. We've obviously been, although we did conquer Brisbane Road last season, very well, 5-1, sad not for you. Pedro Martinez Losa, I can't believe the name escaped me, but yes, he was the manager that Bristol City were able to depose. So the last game, obviously, the recent game was the 5-0 at Manchester City, 5-0 at half-time, dual roared with, I think, got a break. Was it all headers?
It was all headers, yeah.
All headers, and Bunny Shaw as well was in the score sheet as well. So it's not been the best of starts of Bristol. As I said earlier, they are tied with Aston Villa with 0 points. What are Bristol's expectations this season? Is it simply just staying up?
And yeah, I think realistically, I think from a fan point of view, obviously, I think fans are realistic. Probably not going to expect to win the title or even qualify for the Champions League. As long as you get points where we can, and I think of all the 3 games we've had so far, I think the Leicester game was the best chance to get points. I mean, we were winning 1-0, and then our former captain Amy Palmer scored a great goal, to make it 1-1 at halftime, and then Willie Kirk made some changes at the Leicester game. But yeah, I think it's just trying to get points and also trying to get the best out of our players, and also we're also having a bit of an injury crisis at the moment at Bristol City. So one of our more well-known players, and like the 2-time Women's Player of the Year, Abby Howson, she's out injured. Apparently, she injured herself during the international break for Scotland, and there's no. I think she's back in training, but I don't think she's match fit yet. And our main goalkeeper, Fran Bentley, is out injured. Apparently picked up an injury just before the Spurs game. So that's why Kaylin Marquise has been starting recently. However, Kaylin won't be able to feature this Sunday because she can't really play against her parent club. So I think Liv Clark, who is the Welsh number 1, who was recalled from her loan at Watford, she'll be most likely starting the game on Sunday. And I think we got a couple of other injuries as well, including Jessie Willie and Jess Simpson, who we had on loan from Man United, but there's been no more details because unlike other clubs in the WSL, Bristol City don't seem to reveal a lot. Like I know Arsenal had a press conference today, and as did the other WSL clubs, but for whatever reason, our club don't seem to release the details of the press conferences. And I think people like Goals on the Ball, for example, or other fan accounts can get to those press conferences. But comms with our club have improved compared to previous years, but at the moment they're not that great.
More work to go. It's good you mentioned obviously Kaylin Marquise, because obviously she is it was Arsenal last season on loan at Bristol City. Gave us lots of fun moments last season, mainly on the social media side and acting almost like cheering on the big squad player, cheering on the team. Did a lot of a real positive voice with the team. Did a lot of interaction with the fans on match day, which was great fun. Did play in the Champions League in that 3-1 win at home to Zurich. Remember, Nob scored a particularly good volley. How it sounds bad because obviously Bristol lost all their games and they've conceded a load of goals, but how is she doing at Bristol despite obviously some of the score lines?
I mean, she's made some great saves, but I think because of like the mistakes, particularly the one at the Spurs game and the one last week against Man City, where she pretty much punched the ball as she was saving it, but it landed right in front of Bunny Shaw to tap in with her head. So I think, she a bit inconsistent. And I think of all the fans I've spoken to, or some fans I've spoken to, I think, again, opinions divided. And I think some fans will definitely be glad. I mean, no disrespect to Kaylin, but I think for those fans, I think some are definitely happy that it's not her that's starting the game on Sunday. Obviously, due to a technicality, she couldn't play anyway. But I think once for the next game after the international break against West Ham, I don't know whether Lauren Smith may choose to play Liv Clark in goal again. It depends how she does this Sunday. But Fran Bentley, I think she's injured her leg, and I think she'll be out for at least a few more weeks.
What is the best sort of what is the threat that us Arsenal fans going to the game? Who should we fear in this Bristol side? I think is it Thestrup's your top scorer with 2 goals already this season. Who are the danger players that the likes of like Lottie and Matt and Kadina and Alistair should be aware of going to Ashton Gate?
Amelie Teshabi mentioned she is our top goal scorer, although interestingly, all her goals have come from penalties. And there's a bit of an injury between like the Bristol fan base, because our men's team have like a thing where we don't really get penalties in their game. So it's funny that the women's team get penalties. But yeah, other than Testrup, I think some players, Arsenal fans should watch out for include Fionn Morgan, who's very fast when she runs. I think in terms of a defense, we have like the likes of Naomi Lazelle, who will probably go 1-on-1 and will probably keep the ball out and stop the attack. And I think. So I'm just trying to think. I would have said Abby Harrison, but of course, she's out injured at the moment.
She did,
but
yeah.
If she starts to comes on, I think Shania Hales could be an interesting threat because she's very fast as well. She runs, and she was our top goal scorer last season in the championship. But yeah, obviously, some of our squad might be very young, but we do have a lot of experience as well, such as Satara Murray in defense and Rachel Furness, who joined this.
Rachel, legend of the game, Rachel Furness. Massive shout out to her. You did obviously mention the championship. You were promoted last season. We've got just almost finished up on Bristol. But what was it like, the championship winning season? It does obviously get much coverage compared to the WSL. But what was it like, going through and winning the title at the end of the season and getting promoted?
I mean, it was like the end of it. I mean, to be honest, I think us fans really enjoyed it because I think compared to the WSL, where you have like your top 4 or 5 teams, and then you have the rest of the teams like just battling out. I think the championship, it was more entertaining. The table can change, teams can go up and down pretty much every single week because it was just so chaotic, and there was no one clear favorite. Or there usually was one clear favorite, especially in previous years like Man U, Aston Villa, or Liverpool or Leicester. But yeah, I think that the last 2 seasons were incredible, and also it was nice to see us, win games or consecutively, which was something we weren't really used to last time we were in the WSL.
Yeah,
and I think it was just like a complete rebuild of the team on and off the pitch, and I think the team behind the scenes is more stable now than it was when we were last in the WSL and Tanya Oxtoby was in charge, and I think there was a different chairman, a different board members at the time. But yeah, I think now it's more. I think the club have invested. I don't know what the budget is like because, of course, our men's team is not a Premier League team, and but yeah, I think more resources have gone into like stuff behind the scenes, like analysts, physiotherapists, staff members, and so on. But yeah, being the championship was great, and I know there was not as much coverage because there's only one game live on the FA Player, and there's like accounts like on and off the pitch since '71. I give great analysis to the championship. And also there's the Barclays Women's Championship show that's on the FA Player every week, hosted by Molly and Rose Comita. That's a great show, which I still watch even though my team's not on the championship.
Just talking about behind the scenes, one of the people behind the scenes, obviously Anita Asante, does work. What is her role in Bristol City, and maybe like what impact has she had? Obviously, she's an Arsenal legend and Lioness legend to that as well. Regularly seen on the TV doing the punditry. But what has she been doing at Bristol City, sort of behind the scenes?
So last season, she was a first team coach. So she'd be, I think she was on a part-time role. So she would be with the club during the week, and then on a match day, either be with the team or doing media coverage for a WSL game. But this season, her role slightly changed. So she's still, I think she's now some sort of consultant. Does consultancy for the club, but I think she now does more match day coverage for the WSL because I think she was at the Emirates last week.
She was. Yeah. This is what I was a bit confused because I thought, hang on, haven't you got a game at the academy that you need to be helping out? Maybe you could sub in the defence and help out, but So she's her role at Bristol has reduced since promotion. Bristol City.
Yeah, I don't think it was because of promotion. Maybe there might be other factors, but yeah, last season she was one of the first team coaches alongside Jennifer Foster. But this season, Jennifer Foster is now at Leicester, and the other coach or assistant coach position is now with Natalie Haig, former Aston Villa player, and was most recently assistant manager at Lewis last season.
Oh yes, quite a lot of love for Lewis. I think that's one of the clubs everyone could own a bit of. It's very, very nice club, and such a shame we didn't get them in the Conti Cup draw. But we have got Bristol City, so we're looking forward to that particular fixture when it comes around. Matt, if you can remind me, is the Bristol game, is that the one that's at Meadow Park, or is that away?
It's at Meadow Park.
And I think tickets have already gone out for that, I believe, haven't they?
Yes.
Yes,
Excellent.
they have. I've managed to pick mine up the other day. So
Excellent.
I've got some nice new flags, and I might have actually got flag ties to tie up in the North Stand. So
Brilliant
Unfortunately,
news.
I
Ready to
won't be able
go.
to. Oh, sorry. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go to that game because
Oh
it's midweek.
no.
It's a bit of an inconvenient travel for me. But
Mm.
and also, I've used up a lot of annual leave
Mm.
going to Australia for the World Cup. But I am planning to visit Meadow Park for the WSL
WSL.
because I don't think our game at Arsenal, I don't think
Mm.
it's one of the games for the Emirates, as far as I'm aware.
No,
it's not,
sadly not.
unfortunately.
Sadly not. In talks of inconvenience and travel, this game is on in the very, very late slot. Annoyingly, 6:45 on a Sunday evening. It was a game that I think we all hoped we might be able to get some tickets and go to.
Yeah.
I was all for it. Bristol's a lovely city, as I said many times before, but completely inconvenient. But shout out anyway to the Arsenal fan base. They will be there. They've confirmed, I think it's just over 10,000 tickets have already been sold for this game at Ashton Gate, which is quite frankly incredible. It's a 27,000 capacity stadium, but I think we'll get a decent crowd and a decent atmosphere there. So on to the game itself. We're coming in with, well, I loosely could be described as form, having won a game this season against Aston Villa. But Russo is off the mark, which I'm absolutely proud of. Dead chuff with. Beth Mead's back on the pitch, which is great to see. Came on the pitch and immediately we got 2 goals, which was great. Rumours are that Viv could be in the match day squad for the Bristol game, one to keep an eye on. Obviously, Viv and Bristol have got a bit of history. Shahan knows exactly what I mean.
11-1 game. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, how can I drop that into the conversation? But yes, Viv.
I mean, I wasn't there at that game, but what I find funny about that game is that was the season where Arsenal didn't win the league. And Bristol City didn't get relegated.
Well, that was the thing. I think it was Liverpool that got relegated that season on the it was the points per game, which was hugely controversial. Arsenal basically lost the lead because they lost the 2 big games just before lockdown. I think the last game was the Liverpool game, and they just slipped at the last moment, and that was sort of the beginning of the end for Joe Montemurro. But the 11-1 game is notorious for and sadly for yourself, but obviously for us, it's a very unique game, and broke all records. And Viv scored 6 and assisted 4, and it's worth watching back. But I personally don't think she will feature massively in this game. If she does at all, it's off the bench. Mead, maybe we'll see a bit more of her. Russo, off the mark, as we said. Hopefully with some more goals. Matt, what are you expecting in this game?
Just by going by what both teams have done, I don't think it's going to be out of the question that this game's going to have goals. Well, not down
that's a 0-0 draw in the bag then. Yeovil Town away springs to mind.
You just have this feeling. It's nothing against Bristol and it's nothing against Arsenal. Just it feels like the very start of the season again, where you don't have those. I talk about it all the time now, don't I? The fact that there isn't that communication at the back that we had last season. Bristol in a new league, you don't know what you're going to get. Even though they've got some experience in the WSL with them, I could see it being a very open game, and this is one of the reasons why I do love the WSL is that you do get games like this, and you think, oh, it'll be a walk in the park, but no, these teams like Bristol will come at you with everything they've got. It won't be that's Chelsea are here. Let's just step aside and let them score as many goals as possible. This game's gonna be end to end. Every neutral's gonna be on their seats for this one. You can just say it. It's a real shame that it was the 6:45 one because I think a lot of us would have made it, and you could probably imagine that it would have been close to being a sellout.
I reckon. I mean, I always feel sorry with these things because obviously Sky have to put the game somewhere. That being said, there is only one. I think there's only one Premier League game on Sunday, so I can only assume there's another big sporting. Well, yeah, there must be another big sporting occasion happening that I'm not aware of. I mean, the other weekend.
The rugby.
Well, the rugby's on tonight and tomorrow night on the Saturday. I know. The other weekend it was obviously the golf, and that sort of played into the WSL's hands. But yeah, it does feel weird that it's a game that's not taking early slot. But 6:45 it is. You did mention obviously you're getting a lot of goals. Last time Arsenal played away at Bristol City, there were goals. There were 4 of them. Viv with 2, Mead with 1, and a certain Daniela van der Donk with her last ever WSL goal for Arsenal. That was at Twerton Park in Bath, isn't it? I believe. This time around, obviously, Ashton Gate, things may well be different. Lottie, who are you looking forward to seeing at Arsenal in the game for Arsenal?
Do you know what? I think one of the most exciting things for me is I've obviously seen Bristol play their first 3 games, and it's a new team to come up against us. And let's say the start of our season's not been fantastic.
Yeah.
We're still kind of trying to pull it together. So I feel like it is going to be end to end. We've got a problem with our end product at the moment, so I don't know how that's going to come from. But we know what Russo's like for England. Once she gets one, that's it. She's going to be hungry for more, and her confidence skyrockets. Maybe a McCabe banger. We know
another one.
Bangers. Yeah.
She's already off the mark with one, particularly good one.
Exactly. So I think she'll have about 3 or 4 this season, hopefully. Little bit disappointed that Abby Harrison's injured. I was actually looking forward to quite seeing her because I did pick her up from fantasy football, and she's been sitting on my bench. So I'm looking forward to, because I always enjoy watching sort of neutral games at the moment and discovering new players. I mean, in the World Cup, there was the likes of Linda Cazado. No one had heard of her. Yeah, and I'm still keeping an eye on her over in Spain still.
And of course, Kyra Cooney-Cross as well, obviously.
Oh, she's here. I don't have to. That was my World Cup wish. I got what I wanted, and I'm going to sit here and be smug about it. I think she was warming up at Liverpool and Villa, and I'm going, Matt, look at this, like a child. I just got so excited. I mean, she was absolutely brilliant at the World Cup. I want to see some minutes from her as well.
Yeah,
even if it means taking off Leah Volti.
Speaking of childishness, do make sure you check out the latest Arsenal Women's TikTok of Kyra Cooney-Cross trying to keep in rhythm with Beth and Palova. I don't know what they're talking about or trying to sing, but as always with Arsenal Women, it's complete chaos and very, very, very funny. This is a game that I feel like if we were going in form, I'd feel happy with, but I'm always very apprehensive about these games now, because as an Arsenal fan, we still have nightmares about going to a certain bottom of the league team, beginning with the letter B, and thinking we're going to win, and then we lose 2-0, and it costs us the league title. So, Bristol City away. Shahan, what are your thoughts? I mean, are you confident that maybe Bristol could do a Birmingham and maybe, cause an upset, or is this going to be batten down the hatches and hope we're not 5-0 down again at half time?
Yeah, I think one of our, from a Bristol City perspective, some of our previous issues is just like we have a great, one half is better than the other. So if you look at the Man City game, for example, we were 5-0 down at half time, but second half played a really great game.
Drew the second half.
and Adam and Lon Smith said, I think in the subsequent interview, saying the team has to not just win the half, but also have to win the full 90. I'm not expecting a stalemate. I'm thinking it will be a great crowd. I think that's Tom Gary tweet from the Telegraph tweeted this morning saying ticket sales as of this morning is now 10,500.
Oh, even better. Brilliant.
Regardless, it is a new Bristol City Women record at Ashton Gate. It's a great stadium, great facilities. I think someone from the Arsenal Women's Supporters Club contacted me because I am actually a representative on our Bristol City Supporters Club and Trust, asking for someone to meet up, or for them to go before the game. So, and I know Arsenal requested an allocation in Ashton Gate. That's sold out.
Brilliant.
They requested the second allocation. That's sold out as well.
Well, it's incredible considering the kickoff times and everything.
Yeah.
To have that commitment is pretty good.
And I think for me, for all WSL Bristol City fans like myself, I think that's one thing we are going to have to get used to, because I think it's going to happen to us at some point. We're going to have an away game, and it's going to be moved to 6:45. Kickoff. I feel bad for. I'm guessing you three aren't going to the game.
It's a game I wanted to go to. It's a game we were all hoping to go to because obviously we've got friends in the southwest as well, and it would have been a good day out. with work, it's just not possible, which makes those that have made the journey even more impressive. Doesn't sound like it's going to be like when we went to Brisbane Road and the away fans outnumbered the home fans considerably. Sounds like there's going to be a decent Bristol City collective there, as well as the Arsenal. So that's really, really positive to hear. Yeah. So we're on to the game itself. Obviously, we talked on the players. We're going to move into a bit of predictions. Matt, I'm going to come to you. Formation, We've discussed formations endlessly on this pod with the back three and the back four. Jonas stuck. Well, so I say he moved to the back four that we all used to, and we won. We're going away from home now, but it is not Manchester United. It's no offense to Bristol City, but it is Bristol City. Is he going to stick with back four, do you reckon, and try and grow that Lotta Ilestead partnership?
I wonder if he's actually going to make it more chaotic like he did the last 10 minutes. 2 at the back, 1 in midfield, and then everyone else up top.
Every forward on. I'm surprised Jan Beattie didn't get pulled on and make it another auxiliary forward. And then,
to be fair, as I said to you before, I said to Matt on the last pod, the Jen Beattie card doesn't work anymore. People know where she's going up top. It just doesn't work. After what she did to Pop, that was it.
Yeah,
absolutely, that was it for everybody. And it's a move that's been sussed. So we've now got a new move, so to speak. Shove everyone up top. Absolutely.
So, lineup wise, could it be Lotta said, or maybe Lotta Catley? Because I think that's how he finished. It was Lotta Catley, McCabe, and Merritt.
I would imagine that it would be a back four for this one. Steph on the left, Noah on the right, and then I imagine it'll be Amanda and Lotta. Lotta. The big question over who he wants to go for in the goal at the moment.
I think Sabrina might come in for this one.
I kind of have that feeling as well. It's nothing. Again, it's nothing against Manu.
He was fine at the week. There was nothing. In fairness, Villa didn't really offer anything apart from the goal, but there was nothing to be scared about with Manu. I thought she was, and also happy birthday, Manu. Should say big happy birthday to Manu Zinsberger. Many happy returns from the Vic Akers Wonderland team.
Yes, we should say happy birthday to Manu as well. That just leaves who's in midfield. So you usually expect Frida, Kim, and Leah in that midfield. I might be wondering if he might sub some of them out because they haven't had much of a break. I would expect Kim to start.
Yeah,
Frida has been a bit. She's been very mentally fatigued, and I think it's sort of caught up with her. So I'd be wondering maybe you might bring Kyra Cooney-Ross in for this one, instead, just to give that a try, see how that goes. If not, I would imagine Victoria might play as that attacking midfielder. That would then leave Stina or Alessia. I imagine Alessia's going to start. Stina's going to be on the bench. Or the other option is you play both of them at the same time and then Caitlin on the left. But I think Caitlin's a bit overrun at the moment.
So maybe Lacasse could come on. Lotte, I'll come to you on this. I don't know if you saw some of the comments of Palova being compared to a smart bomb after her crunching tackle in the midfield in the build-up to the equaliser. Does Palova deserve a start? So maybe over Frida?
At this point, as much as I'm a Frida fan, Frida looks absolutely knackered. I mean, we know when she has X amount of shots, her head starts to drop as it's not going in the back of the net or she's narrowly missing. And she'll keep going, but her confidence and stuff just drops. We're seeing bits of Vic like she was in that game when she took out Leah Volti. And it seems like more of that is coming through at the moment, and I'm all here for it because it's not against me at this point. I'd throw Vic into the mix and see how she goes, but it's a question of can she hold out the whole 90 minutes.
We might have to rebrand to Vic Palova's Wonderland if she comes on and has an amazing game. The other one I was going to maybe throw at you is obviously Russo started all our games, obviously off the mark, but Stina has scored against Manchester United. Could we maybe see a bit of rotation there? Maybe Stina lead the line, or are we all Team Russo at the moment for starting?
I'd rather have both. Because purely on the basis because Russo hasn't got Stina's speed. As good as she's great at hold at play and all of that, she hasn't quite got the speed. Because you look back at that Villa game, there's a few moments you sit there and I just wish she had a tiny bit more speed on her, and she would have got there a lot quicker. Stina has that, and yeah, I'd start them both.
Fair enough. Shahan, I'm not going to ask you to name an Arsenal lineup. Don't worry. Instead, I'll for the team of Bristol City. You mentioned obviously McKenzie can't play, so the Welsh number 1 keeper will be likely starting in her place. So, what is your predicted lineup / formation for the game? How do you reckon they will line up? Deep, low block, deep, try and play 0-0, or do you reckon there might be a bit of ambition maybe to take something?
Yeah, I'm confident. I think Lauren Smith may make some sort of attacking formation. Because I think one of the flaws we had in the last time we were in the WSL was that we were just too counter defensive, as in we let the team come in and then we try to counter attack or defend that way. But I think it'll be interesting to see what Lauren does, and especially again if Liv Clark is likely to start, whether she'll have the same communication with the back line, because we're already on our 3rd goalkeeper of the season. But I think you all mentioned about Arsenal players. I think for me, this is one thing I am looking forward to this Sunday, especially from the things I have heard based on meme culture and also from other news. So the first thing is I'm looking forward to seeing when Katie McCabe gets a yellow card. Because apparently that's
legendary. Yes, she does love a yellow card.
Adam, she didn't get her yellow at Villa. I was wrong. I'm going to call it again.
No, but she did get her goal. So it's either one or the other. Yeah. She either gets booked or she gets the goal.
I said she was going for the hat-trick in the Villa game, didn't I? And she didn't get it, so I'm going to call it again and she won't get a card.
But would you rather she have got her hat-trick but not scored?
Oh, I'd rather the goal. I don't want to get any yellow cards. But it's just she's notorious for it. Yeah. And obviously they're sorry, Shahan. They're clamping down on the back chat, so we're going to see a lot more of that, I think.
And the time wasting. That's the one I'm worried about. Is McCabe gets a second booking for time wasting in the 10th minute. That's when it's all going to go nuclear. Another Alex Greenwood. Sorry, Shahan, you were saying yes about
So that's one thing I think, just as a jump for I'm looking forward to seeing. And of course, sticking with McCabe, of course, there's the Irish connection, so she could face off against her Irish teammate Megan Connolly, who's our new captain now, and Chloe Mustaki, who she started the last couple of games for us, and also sticking with all things green. I understand Arsenal will be wearing their green 3rd kit. Is it the 3rd kit for the first time this Sunday?
We've got Lottie's a bit of a big fan on the old green kit. I'm not a fan of away kits. I always go for home kits.
It's beautiful. What are you talking about? I love that shirt. It's mostly because of the for the fans who watch on TV that are colourblind. Because I believe your kit is red and white stripes, isn't it? I think my eyes hurt looking at our away kit with your home kit, to be honest.
It's all red, but with like very small, thin white stripes. And unlike the men's team, the women's team wear red shorts because the men's team wear white shorts.
Yes, that's a very.
I love that. That's brilliant.
But who? By the way, Lottie, have you got your name? What was your name on the back for your green shirt again?
Oh, I've got Russo. I've had to send it for repress though, because it's already peeling. So I won't have that on Sunday, unfortunately.
No, you'll be I'm sadly not. So yes, Han. As I was saying, the Megan Connolly and her Irish teammates. He was saying about Bristol. So what is your recommended sort of formation and full team then?
I'm not sure about to be honest. I'm not really one of I didn't really think about formations. I mean that's why I never became a football manager. But
you don't play Football Manager then. You're not a football gamer. Like.
No, although I do want to get EA Sports FC 24 because Bristol City Women are in there for the first time now that we're.
Yes, they are.
But the game's just really expensive, so I'll probably wait. I'm not sure about formation, but I don't know whether Abby Harrison, who I mentioned earlier, again is injured, but was back in training. I don't know whether she might come on as a sub appearance, but I'm just hoping there'll be noise there'll definitely be noise from the Arsenal fans, and I sit in the singing area or the impromptu singing area we have at Ashton Gate. But with over 10,000 fans, I assume most of them are definitely Bristol City fans, or as opposed to just wanting to see some of the Lionesses, which is one thing.
Yeah, there have been it's been known for certain grounds that fans are only there to watch the Lionesses. That has been the accusation thrown by certain fan bases. But I think you are right about the noise. Anybody who watched our game against Manchester United LSV will have heard, the chants from the Arsenal fans and then just booing from all the Man United fans. So we will be definitely bringing the noise, and I can't wait to hear them, and obviously the Bristol City fans as well, lend their voice to the game on Sunday. Should be good fun. I'm afraid we are almost out of time, but before we go, just time for a bit of a match day prediction. So Lottie, I'm going to come to you first. What scoreline are you predicting?
I'm going to go with the classic 3-2 to the Arsenal.
3-2. Okay, fair enough. Shahan?
Yeah, I was just going to quickly say I'm glad Arsenal won last week, because that put less pressure on us, because if Villa won last week, they would have been above us on the table. I mean, they were above us anyway, but they're both on 0 points. But yeah, I'm going to try to be a little bit optimistic, and I'm going to say 2-2.
2-2. Okay. Matt, I'll come to your last score lines. What are you thinking?
Me last.
But I'll be last.
I'm thinking this is going to be. It's got a game. It's going to have goals. I don't think we'll do the Man City 5. I think it will probably be Bristol City go and score the first goal, and then Arsenal go and score probably 3, and then that'll be it. I don't think Jonas will turn around and go, "Oh, Beth, you're going on, go and help us out a little bit again," because that was a bit chaotic, let's say.
I mean, one of my feelings was after that Villa game is the fact that we've had to rely on not just Beth, but every forward being on just to turn this game in our favour. Arsenal can't afford to concede early, because I think if Bristol get a goal from a corner, like Villa did, get a goal early, they're going to go, right, okay, we've got a goal, we're going to pitch up here, 10 players behind the ball, and we're going to try and ride this out. And I'll be worried about that. For us, in my opinion, we've got to score first, like we did at Manchester United, and then we've got to go again. Jonas has lost league titles and goal difference over in Sweden, and he knows that games like these are the ones where you can. No offense, Shahan, but these are the games he knows that you can fill your boots, if you were.
You can fill your boots, but the way our season started.
I know, but this is the perfect game to get those forwards firing. This is.
I get that. I get that, but you were notorious on your predictions.
Well, I'm trying to be positive here, because normally my predictions are negative, and then negative things happen. So I'm trying to look at it the other way. And I think about the Emirates game, the opening game, Liverpool. Matt Beard, as Shahan will know, is a very experienced manager. I think he did actually manage Bristol City for a while. I think it might have even actually been the season he went down, sadly. But yes, Matt Beard, very experienced manager, knows how to win at the Emirates. He's done it before with Liverpool, and he set the team up well, and we weren't fully up to speed. Manchester United, very difficult game. And then Aston Villa, again, Carla Ward, very good manager, again, set up Aston Villa to defend very well, and they almost got away with it. I just think this is for me, it's been the game where we can go, right, our team should have enough. But we know, obviously, Birmingham City. But I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to say 4-0 Arsenal. It's going to be the same scoreline as it was a few years ago when, obviously, Viv scored twice and DVD and Beth scored. And hopefully it would be a good shot in the arm for our attacking forwards to get those patterns of play going, get to attacking phase going. Because we saw last season and the season before, this team can play attacking football and can break teams down. And I think this will be the one for them when they can go, right, kickstart, get those goals flowing, and then the rest of the season should follow. So I'm being optimistic here and saying 4-0. What's the worst that could happen? But that's it. That's all the time we've got for this particular episode. Just leaves me for my co-host, co-conspirators, and of course, Shahan, to tell everybody where they can find them in the wild world of social media. Shahan, I'm going to come to you first. Where can we find you?
Cool. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show tonight.
Pleasure.
If people want to follow me online, my personal handles are at Shahan on Twitter and at Shahan on Instagram. I'm also running a new Bristol City Women fan page called the Other BCWFC, which is Bristol City Women fan content. You could go at the Other BCWFC on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. Matt, where can we find you?
You can find us all here on VAW Pods, or if you really want to find me, it is at Matt's LR28.
Excellent. Lottie, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lottie_AFC, AWFC. Can't get that right. Or you can just come and find me here with you guys, really.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to do this. It's been good to get back into the swing of things after being away for a bit, but it's good to be back. If you want to find me, I don't know, maybe you want to watch somebody rant about other football teams and maybe how they're running their clubs, or Arsenal women memes, or just general nonsense, then if that is how you want to waste your time, you can follow me at AdamSalter4 on Twitter. I do occasionally put things on Instagram and or TikTok when the moments of inspiration do come, but mostly on Twitter /X/ the site formerly known as Twitter until it collapses. But that's it. That's the end of the show. That's the end. It's been an absolute privilege talking to the three of you. Arsenal versus Bristol City. Can't wait for that. A trip to Ashton Gate. Come on, you Gunners, and come on, Bristol. Let's hope for a cracker.
Good night.